If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge. From worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, dear listener, to our friends in Australia who probably don't exist. This is yet another Dockers Debate episode preview show where we are looking to this weekend's game between the Dockers Erith Town and those just ran the M25, as the social media says, Sevenoaks Town. As always, we have a guest on from the opposition to give us the lowdown, tell us who to avoid, and tell us where they think they'll score against us. We have with us today friend of the club committee member, Paul Carter, those in the know. It's Andrew Gidley. How are we, Andrew?
I'm fine. Yes, thank you for the invite. Good to join you.
No problem at all. And
good to have you.
And always, I have my grommet to my Wallace, Rob. How are we, Rob?
Watcher, I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Watcher indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, like you do when you learn how to swim in the 90s, let's just jump straight into the deep end. Andrew, bit of a mixed bag this season for you guys. You find yourself in mid-table. How's the season gone compared to last, and obviously how we thought the season would start for Sevenoaks?
Well, mixed is probably a good way of putting it. I have to say it was always going to be a challenging season for all sorts of reasons, really. Most of all because we lost our former manager, Mark Dacey, very close to the season in the summer. June the 8th was when Marcel Nemani took over. And when I tell you, in fact, you probably already may be aware of it, we only had one senior player left from the squad last season. That was Jamal Howlett-Mungle, who is our skipper now. And so Marcel had a very low base to work from, but I've got to give the man a lot of credit because, we had a fairly good pre-season and going into the actual season itself, we started off very well, but, results have been mixed. He's tweaked and turned the squad on several occasions, notably in the last couple of weeks, bringing in 3 new players. Jordan Ababio, who came from Margate, and more recently, James Bessie Saldana, who has been with us before. He's back for a second spell, but he's come back via spells at Margate, Sheppey and Sittingbourne. And I see he also had a dual reg spell at Lordswood earlier in the season. And also Sam Batuma has joined us from Sheppey. They both made their debuts on Saturday. James Bessie Saldana, whom you may remember, scored that wonder goal for Sheppey live on ITV1 a couple of seasons ago in the FA Cup.
In the FA Cup, yeah, that's right.
And I looked at it this week, and it's been seen by 173,000 people. I haven't had a chance to speak to him yet, but I'm sure he's still dining out on that goal, and understandably so. He started on Saturday in the 1-1 draw against Herne Bay. Sam Batuma came on as a substitute and acquitted himself well. But I suppose Saturday against Herne Bay may sum up our season quite well, because we led through James Jeffrey's 81st minute goal, and unfortunately couldn't hang on at the end and lost out to Scott Hurd's 93rd minute equaliser. So yeah, mixed. Going back to your original question, mixed results and performances. But personally, I think we're safe. Those closer to the team think we need another win to make mathematically sure. But points are being won and lost by that bottom 4 week in, week out. So dare I say it, I'll put my neck on the line and say that I think we're safe already. But in this league, as I'm sure you're aware, you can't really
never be too sure, can you? Yeah, absolutely.
So it's interesting, though, as Michael pointed out, that You're comfortably mid-table. You're on 40 points, but so are Deal, who are just above you, and so are Erith Town, who are just above you.
Yeah,
Deal have played one game more, which has got to be encouraging for you. But we're
yeah,
3 games less, so we're
yeah,
we're we're in a slightly better position. But it just goes to show that there's not a lot to choose between all these teams. There's the bottom, and then there's the top, and then everything in the middle. Everybody's got everything to play for still.
yeah, yeah. Well, look, the way I look, we've got 12 games left, 5 at home, 7 away, and personally, I think we should be looking to pick up points against all of them because they're in and around us or below us in the table. But again, you can't, you wouldn't be able to do the pools with the with the Isthmian League Southeast because you can't predict any results again
You,
apart
you
from
you say that. Sorry to jump in. You say that,
yeah,
and I get what you mean. You're saying that you need 1 or 2 wins to be secure, and you're
yeah,
fine. You're right.
yeah,
And like you
yeah,
say, you got 12 games left.
yeah,
It, there's realism, and then there's like you could. I mean, Era for exactly the same. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure our good friends who sung songs about us at the weekend, Dill, are exactly the same as well. But there's also got to be a bit where you think, do you know what? All it needs is a run because I'm looking at the bottom 4 now. You've got Lancing on 21, Stenning Town Community 19, 18, 18. So even Lancing, who are 4th from bottom, have got to go on a 6-game
yeah.
winning run
That's very
and
true.
jump up 7 places
Yeah,
just to be within a point of you.
yeah,
And now this is a
yeah,
team who have conceded 67 goals this season in 30
yeah,
games. That's 2 a game. But with Sevenoaks, bit similar to what Rob was saying there with Erith. If this is an Erith Town podcast, before I get accused of liking Sevenoaks too much, but if Sevenoaks go on a run of 3-4 games where they get some positive results, they're right in
yeah.
the playoff mix.
Well, indeed, I think those close to the team are talking still favourably about the playoffs. We had a winning run at the start of the year. We won 4 in a row, which was our best run for 2 years. And then we went to Deal and lost 3-1 there, and then the following Saturday before last, we went to Three Bridges and lost 5-1 and conceded 4 in the first half. So, yeah, as I say, you're perfectly right. Another run would put us in sniffing distance of the playoffs. But clubs like yourself have got matches in hand and could well get the results as well.
Well, that's kind of the thing, isn't it? And it's like just looking at the league table and the goal scored. I think the Sevenoaks, they're in a very respectable position, as we say. They're 53 goals. They score a couple of goals a game on average, but again, it's this. We pointed this out a little while ago when we had, I think it was when we had someone on from Dill, Callum recently. It's a really odd mix again. From 9th downwards, every team bar Erith is in negative goals.
Yeah,
And some quite more than others in the nicest way. Not many teams are in 12th place in their league table. Like Sevenoaks would be on -10, and like as we say, Erith, excuse me, are 2 places above, but they've got a +16 goal difference.
yeah,
You said obviously you had a bit of an issue at the start of the season. Dacey went to go to Forest Hill Park or SE Dons. Didn't obviously work out too well from in there, and he's gone on from there. Do you think there was not an issue, is the wrong way of putting it, because you don't want to speak badly about players. Non-league's different because you can get to know these people quite well. But is it a case of defensively it really is the problem, or you're not scoring enough goals?
Oh, I think we've had moments at both ends of the pitch defensively in that run that we went on in January. We looked solid, and we also had the goals of the likes of Warren Mafula and Jefferson Abanjby to act as a little bit of a cushion as regards form and results. Warren is 34, and Marcel often says Warren is Warren. Give him one chance and he'll score. And he and Jefferson were a good pairing. Now Jefferson had a nasty injury at the beginning of the season, which necessitated him being sort of nurtured and sort of groomed back into the side. And really, his departure from Ramsgate, and I'm speaking personally here, not from a club point of view, was disappointing because he was just getting back to and I say just getting back, he scored 17 goals. So 34 goals from your two strikers, that's a good return.
Absolutely, yeah.
The reason why we're in deficit as far as goals is concerned is that we've conceded heavily. 5 at Three Bridges, 4 when they came to us back in October, and then Beckenham has proved our nemesis again this season. I think we've played them 3 times and lost heavily, at least 2 of them, if my memory serves me correctly. That's really why. Well, the reason why we're -10 at the moment is we conceded 5 at Three Bridges the Saturday before last. But as I say, to have Mafula and Abanjbi as your 2 strikers, not Marcel was tipping both of them. Well, certainly Warren to score 20 goals this season, and he's 3 short of the target.
So, I think looking ahead to Saturday's game, and you look at the form guide. The form guide, broadly speaking, is the same for both teams. We've both won 2, lost 3, drawn 1 out of the last 6 games. So it's very even Stevens there. I see that you've got, as you said, you've got Hughes and Abanji as your kind of your top goal scorers. They're both on.
Well, Abanji's gone now. He's gone to Ramsgate, which was a disappointment.
Yeah,
because the timing of it. Ramsgate were sniffing around, I'm led to believe, and I thought at one stage that Jefferson might stay, but that didn't prove to be the case.
But they're on 7. So, but Rodney Erith is he's not far behind. He's on 12 for the season. Then you got 2 or 3 of them are on 4s and 3s. Yeah. So you're kind of you're not entirely reliant on them. Is what I was to say, to get your goals. So that must give you some encouragement.
I must mention Rodney, because Rodney has been a great performer for us this year. He's scored some unbelievable goals. In fact, he could have his own goal of the season competition, and find it difficult to pick the best one. Most notably, I think it was one at Croydon Athletic, not when we won 3-1 there a few weeks ago. A wand of a left foot. And he showed that on a couple of occasions. And you're asking me for one of our best performances. It was probably at Herne Bay when we won 5-3 there back in October. And Rodney scored an absolute worldie, and so did James Jeffrey. We're looking for other people to score goals. Young Babia, who's come in recently, he's got a good scoring record. Haven't seen it yet, but he was certainly very instrumental in the first half against Herne Bay on Saturday. And as I say, we're looking for, he's one for the future. I think he's only 23, and I think he's one that Marcel would like to work with in the future, not just this season. A bigger picture as regards his future at the club.
I mean, just having one more look at the league table, comparing it to last year. You finished the league in 10th last year, and then obviously this year, you're around there or thereabouts again. From what I know, you said you had the upheaval from Dacey going and all this kind of stuff. So you've done a pretty stellar job to be there or thereabouts, considering the upheaval you had, because Andrew as well as I do. You mentioned off recording, you went to watch Welling and other clubs and everything like this, but non-league football's like a merry-go-round. You named a few players there who've gone around half a dozen clubs before coming back and everything like that. So I think you've done pretty well there in that sense, that you've managed to have that kind of stability. What do you actually think from, we're new to the Isthmian League. What do you think of the standard of the league compared to last year? I mean, I'm looking at the table last year. Ramsgate, Sittingbourne finished 2nd and 3rd. Three Bridges finished 4th. Lancing, who are now near the bottom of the table, was 6th. You've got Merstham, who are now pushing up at the table. They finished 15th last year. How do you, Beckenham obviously got a reprieve, and now they're up in the top 6, top 7. How do you compare this year to last year, and teams like Erith and Deal coming up?
Well, favourably, as I say, people do point the finger at the Isthmian League South East and do question the standard of it, but there's not one game this season that I haven't been entertained by. I am a Sevenoaks person, but I also enjoy watching decent football, and we've played some good sides, both home and away. As regards last year, well, that was the highest position that we finished. I think the standard is good, but people do point question marks at it. But I think to those of us who watch it, week in, week out, there's something about it. It's a hard division to get out of. Well, I was going to say it's a hard division to get into, and you've succeeded by coming up with Deal this season, but it's also a hard league to get out of. And the likes of Ramsgate, Sittingbourne, Burgess Hill, who are on a run, Three Bridges, whose run themselves has coincided with the installation of their new pitch. But I say I have a little bit of a soft spot for Erith, only because, and dare I say it, Sevenoaks won the Skiffle title against you back in 2018.
And on that note, we'll finish this call. So thank you, Andrew.
So and that was a great memory for Sevenoaks. Mickey Collins was in charge then, and that was a great season when I think we scored 92 goals. But we were never going to run away with ourselves and think we're in step 4, the sky's the limit. I have to say, as far as the club is concerned, and if Paul Lansdale was talking to our chairman, I'm sure he'd say the same thing. Sevenoaks are one season into a 3-year plan. That's what Marcel signed up to when he took over. It's all about consolidation and making sure that we're not in that bottom 4 or relegated. There's very ambitious development plans going on. People find Sevenoaks Town probably one of the more countrified grounds. I enjoyed going to Stenning earlier in the season. That's a lovely little ground. Littlehampton may not be the best pitch, but it's a nice place to go. Looking forward to going to Eastbourne in a couple of weeks' time. But as I say, Sevenoaks are on a 3-year plan. That's what Marcel is, as I say, all about at the moment. Where we are at the end of the season, where we are this time next season. But once the development, which has been in the offing for some time now, but it's slowly but surely reaching a point where we can talk positively about it. That is where Sevenoaks are at the moment.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the quality in this league, and I've got to tell you, I went to watch. Well, I probably shouldn't say, but I went to see Enfield Town play Eastbourne Borough on Tuesday night in the Vanarama South, National League South, and I'm not joking. It was one of the most appalling games I've ever had to sit and enjoy. It was awful. The quality on display was utterly dreadful. So, I think a lot of the quality of football that I've seen in the Isthmian South East this season has actually been pretty good. And yeah, so and on any given day, one of the things we've noticed coming up, and we've spoken about it before on this podcast, is that one of the things you have noticed compared to the Skeffel, which we were in before, is that teams play right to the very end, and there's you can't, 4 or 5 minutes to go, no one's shaking hands and saying we're done now. Let's knock it on the head and go home. It's right through to the end, and we've been undone a couple of times with the last minute goals because we just hadn't quite got to that stage where we realised that the game isn't 85, 86 minutes, it's 95, 96 minutes, and that's where you get undone. So I've noticed that a lot in this league, and I guess you know all about that.
Well, indeed, most recently we got beaten the 93rd minute, but I think going back to your point about watching National League South football, I went to Dartford the other night to see Chichester City play at Prince's Park, and that wasn't the greatest of games, although Dartford could have won it in the last seconds with hitting the post. But you're right. I think the pace of the game in the last quarter rises. Both teams are out to win. We've only drawn one game this season, and it was against you, and that was a goalless draw, and that's the only goalless draw that we've had. We've lost games late on, but as you say, it's a good point you make that it's not a 90-minute game. I've seen a couple of games. Most recently, I think in midweek, maybe on Tuesday night, go to 90 plus 8. So that's a long time to be added on at the end.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap this up now because we haven't got overly long left to go before it cuts off. But where do you think the game's won and lost, and can we bother you for a score prediction?
Goodness me, difficult one. I'd go for a draw again, but I'd go for a draw. I wouldn't put my neck on the line and say what the actual result was, but I'll go for a draw.
Which draw? Come on, put your neck on the line at least with a score. 0-0, 1-0, 2-2.
Oh no, it'd be a score draw. Score draw. Yeah,
very diplomatic. Rob, what do we think?
I think coming off the back of a really good win against Deal, we're going to be buoyant. We're going to be feeling confident. So, and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say we're going to win. I think it'll be a nice, comfortable 2-0 stroll.
Yeah, I was sorry, Andrew. I was looking at 2-0 myself, so I'll have to go slightly different. I'm going to go for a 2-1.
You're perfectly entitled to that. I've got no qualms about that at all.
Yeah, but no, Andrew, we'll wrap this up now. So thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Are you coming down for the game?
Yeah, I'll be there on Saturday. Yeah, in fact, I've sat in front. I think I've sat in front of you guys. I came to an Erith game at the last season. I can't remember who it was against. And you do something during the game, don't you? Is that right?
Yeah, do something during the game. Yeah, abuse other fans. No, actually, thank you very much, yourself, Andrew. You've been great. And as always, you can do the traditional buy Rob and I a pint on Saturday.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, good to talk to you both.
Cheers, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Thank you very much. Take care, mate.
Bye. See you at the weekend. Bye.
Yeah. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.